Learning how to change in a way where it is good has been a freaking challenge for me. Because most of my life I've allowed the influence of others to kind of direct my change. Not so much as dictate it, but direct it. And now that I'm on a course of action here where I I've realized that change is not all that difficult. It's the way we perceive everything that goes along with the grind of change. You know, you got to remember how long you've been stuck in your path of what you've been doing. How long of how much residual energy, how much, you know, how much of your mind, time, efforts, thoughts, everything has already been given to the opposite of what you are actually trying to accomplish now. And when you want to change, you know, we tend to start making steps on the outside, you know, physical things that we do to try to make a change. We start working out, we start doing this, we start changing, we start maybe putting down a substance, stop hanging out with those people, maybe getting away from her or him, or whatever the living status it could be, or maybe it's just your own personal bad decisions of whatever it is that you have been doing for so long that when it comes to making the actual change, we forget a lot of things that should be first. And that is what got us here. How many broken pieces of information and influence have I picked up through this time? Do I just need to let go of before I start to try to change? Because you know, when you're such a broken person, or or relied on substance abuse, or relying on so many other things, you become a very broken person. And you know your ideas are broken. The things that you allowed to influence you are also broken. People that you allow to be around you are most likely also very broken, and are reliant on things that allow us to feel that we are fixed for a moment, but really it's just a fix for a moment. But what it is really at the end of the day is we need to first sit back and let go of a lot of things, because you've picked up so many things through all these years. Now you've gotten to a point where you want to make a change, and the change can't happen so abruptly, because a lot of times when you go and start making physical changes and you start making, go get a job, and you're not ready for the job at all. You're not even close to holding the job down, and there's a reason for that, because of all these broken things that you hold into your mind. A broken mind cannot hold down a job for very long, unless it finds ways to crutch instead of clutch, I guess you could say. Because, in moments like that, you end up either finding a crutch, or you find a way to clutch onto something to get you to that next plateau. But a lot of times we go to a clutch. Or crutch, I mean, excuse me, is we crutch it out. We find something to ease it. We find something to not feel the brokenness, or not feel the cracks, or not feel the disconnection, to not feel the lack of ambition, or the lack of desire, the lack of creativity, the lack of imagination, the lack of wanting to push on through the void. We stay right there in our mentals, in our mind. We stay right where we're at. When we decide to grab a crutch instead of finding a way to clutch and keep on moving, we crutch it out. So we're now believing that we no longer have the power to walk or to maintain life all on our own. And we give that power up. So now we're crutching it. And a lot of times that crutch turns into another crutch. So now we don't have legs. We're just walking through life, crutching it. And so many different things we give power to. And I'm not saying everything that we do is bad, but I do believe that unless things are used in a certain way with the right mindset, it is very bad. And I've learned that through my own course of action, doing meth and going through a course of drinking and doing different things. I'm learning that, you could do things, and I'm not saying go do meth because meth is a very bad thing. I'm not saying go do heroin, heroin's a bad thing. Go do these things. But a lot of times the reason why we do things is to clutch things out, and it or crutch it out. These things become our crutch, becomes our way of life, becomes our way of being able to handle life. And really, in a lot of times it creates just more brokenness. And when we get to a point of change, we want with this feeling of wholesome, we want this feeling of I am making big changes, but we want to hold on to so much of what influenced us during that time, what was part of our character and personality during that time. And those things you cannot carry that backpack. You cannot carry those little cracks in it. You can't just keep carrying these things that were part of that mindset that you carried for so long. You can't continue doing this. You know what I mean? You must learn how to let go fully of the mindset and everything that went with it. If you have to step away from all the people that you think that you need to be around, you must do it. A lot of time you have to isolate yourself to realize how much you have crutched out your life. I've used this, I've used that, and a lot of times it's not even physical crutches. It's things that you allow to compromise in your own mind. Oh, it's okay to do this because I have to survive, or it's okay to do this because I have to do this to get my next fix, or I have to do this to feed my children instead of going over here to do this the right way, or however it is. We find ways to be persuaded into compromising core values that will end up being very destructive in our future life, that we no longer notice in our present moment because things become so bad. And what we do is we get overwhelmed and we start making decisions, blah blah blah. So many things happen. A lot of us already know that we make bad decisions in our moments of emotion and feelings because we are not being directed by a good mind. And what I'm trying to get at right now is that we must learn how to set apart all the things that you allowed to be part of your mindset in your life then, and how to in a healthy way step away from it. Now, we do learn things when we're addicts if we pay attention, and we do if we're anything of an intelligent or person, or if we've ever just decided never to give all to the drug, or never to give all to the lifestyle, or to never give all to what it was that we were trying to change from. And sometimes change is not even all that drastic, but even subtle changes are very difficult to notice. If you're just trying to make small changes in your life, a lot of times it has to happen first in the way you think about it, in the way you think about yourself in it, in the way that has been presented to you, and the way you took it in, and the way everything influenced you after, and everything that had happened after with all the people and everything, every conversation. You must start realizing that every little thing that has happened to you has had some kind a mark on you to create you into being who you are today. And if you are trying to make some kind of change in your life into a good and better person, or into a more progressive person, or a more positive person, or more healthy person, you must realize how long you carried all this other unhealthy baggage, unhealthy stuff, and what it takes to really allow your mind to take control, to make it easier on yourself, instead of making it to where it's a constant, ricochet thing. You go out and try, and then you come right back. You go out and try, and then you come right back. And you go out and try, and come right back. And it's just this constant efforts, dead efforts. And, what ends up happening is you end up just giving up, and you end up just, settling. And a lot of times, people just die settled, and, that's just not what I want. Out of what I'm trying to tell people, I want people to realize that what it is that you must literally realize, okay, how much time have I put into this that I'm trying to change? How much influence has this had in my life, in my mind, in my personality, in the way I talk, in the way I act, in the way I react, in the way I respond, in the way I take in things, in the way I let go of things? Every part of who you are has been this person. And even if it's a subtle thing, so many other things have been influences to this one little subtle thing that you may think is subtle, but really is attached to so many other bigger things. But you need first believe you got it. First believe you could do this. That's the first step, is believing you have what it takes. And then the second step is really figuring out how much time you could put away and spending time alone with yourself, spending time into really putting in some journal time, really putting in some real thought into what is holding you back in your mind from being able to accomplish these things, or being able to get away from something, or being able to hit that next plateau, or what's holding you back from doing that next set, or what's that holding you back from going to that next class, or to go and get your next degree, or what's keeping you truly back from getting that full on ability to hit that hero moment in your own life. You are never going to, the heroes don't ever become heroes. Ever. That don't ever happen. You are a hero first in your own life. You're never going to be anything more than it's just a hero in your own life. You will never be bigger than what you are in your own life. Stop trying to be something for so many other people. Stop trying to do things for the purpose in your own mind's mirror. You're sitting there, okay, well, I'm going to have to do this for this person and say it's for this person, but in my head, I'm like this, and that is compromising to myself. And so I need to figure out what is more beneficial for me to do things better for myself, to make sure I am really doing this for this person, like this, for that reason, to make sure that it's beneficial for them for the right reasons, therefore is more beneficial for yourself, and all the more right reasons for your character and for your future, and just overall the way you are. Change is never an easy thing, but you must realize that it all starts in yourself. Change around you always start in yourself. You cannot change things around you by not focusing on yourself first. You have to become a person to step into that next plateau. And when you start stepping into that next plateau, you start changing, you start showing people that you are changing, you start showing people that you are driving in a different way, and you start kind of giving people a different idea of who you are, because you are on that course of change. It does show, and you will see how much it does affect your circle without you ever really having to have a direct conversation with anybody, without you ever having to tell somebody you must change or you must become something different or whatever it is. Your change happens all on its own when you just change yourself. You must learn how to focus on changing who you are first, and your character. What is your character doing to make the things that you want to change around you better or worse? And a lot of times I found in myself that I was actually not knowingly just doing things that were harmful to myself, harmful to my own growth, harmful to my own mind, harmful to what makes it benefit me. And the best way to ever teach anybody is through example. And example to yourself, and be accountable to yourself first, always. And in doing that, it develops and everything else all on its own. You don't really need to have direct conversations of too much, really just bam in your face, because people notice change. People notice your course. People will notice what you're doing, but you can never ever not mind your focus always, because your focus is to become a better person for the sake of yourself, for your life, for your healthiness, and for most likely your kids after that, and your wife, or whoever else is in your life. But you never forget, you're minding your focus for yourself, and it's on yourself. When you're in your a rage and frenzy, because you will get in one, or when you're pissed off, because you will be pissed off, or when you're saddened, because you will get sad. There's so many different things that you will realize that you must do to not react in a way that you normally are, to change the course of how you normally react, is a really big one. It was for me. I usually acted very, irrational, angry, acting completely out of like what, just, yeah. And now that I'm starting to get an understanding of it, we put ourselves in a state of mind where we make ourselves weak and look weak, instead of standing. I mean, we think we're acting strong, we think we're acting this and that, but really, when you're acting in aggression or acting in rage or anger, it's a very act of first reaction and feelings, and it's a very big sign of weakness. And you got to learn how to control your mind, because the way you first react is the hardest thing to change. The way you first respond to things are the hardest things to make a difference in and to change, because it's just right away, it happens. But when you start spending more time with yourself, and you start stepping away from those moments, and instead of living in that moment, stepping away and saying, hey, how can I change it? And you start realizing some courses of yourself that need work. Not only that, how much you have grown in every single day, how it happens, because it happens quick. And you start to realize what your dreams are, you start to realize what your goals are, and you start to realize a little bit more of who you are in your family, in your life. And you get a little more fulfillment about life. You get a little bit more of a I kind of like, I get it feeling, whenever you're not, so broken on the inside. And healing's a big one. And, I'll go through another part of that. But, today's talk, this one was change. And change isn't easy if you try to change from the outside in. It's almost impossible. But if you take the time to change, spending time on yourself, focusing on changing yourself first on the inside out, it goes much smoother. And there's just a lot of steps you must take when it comes to your mind, because your mind's a very delicate and powerful thing.